Welcome to CarSceneKorea. I introduce newly released Genesis, Hyundai, and Kia cars, and I am at Genesis Studio Hanam, and I have in front of me Genesis G90 Stardust. Together with Genesis G90 Stardust is the 2021 G90 model. 2021 G90 now comes standard with Genesis adaptive control suspensions, also seen on G80 extensive review, and also intelligent front lighting system, also seen on G80 night drive. And it's very smart and interactive. The high beam would turn on and off accordingly to the oncoming traffic and nearby environment. Also, they are equipped with PCA-R, which stands for Parking Collision Avoidance Assistance Reverse. So simply put, it's a rear parking alarm assist, telling you when you're reversing backwards to park your car, if there is any oncoming traffic or any of the people walking by or pedestrians and so on. I have the similar feature, of course, not the exact same one that of a Genesis G90 on my Veloster N. It's quite useful. This is the new multi-spoke 19-inch wheels exclusively for this Genesis G90 Stardust, as well as along with the 2021 models. So this has been introduced for the first time, and I've briefly counted. It has over 20 spokes, and it may seem a little much on the camera, but it's not so much the case when you see it in person. And I think it really goes flawlessly with the design of the G90. I think it really adds on to the very design cue of the car. I personally think the traditional geometric wheels were a little bit too much. Well, not too much, but design wise it kind of resembles that of not to be said out loud, but Maybach, and we've seen that type of wheels on those cars before. But this type of multi-spoke, as we've also seen on other Genesis, I think it really adds on to the brand's identity. I personally love it. I think these multi-spokes go really well with Genesis, not just the Stardust model, but other G80 and G70 models in overall. And that limited quantity comes from the fact, as we can see very obvious here, is due to this paintwork. The signatory two-toned paintwork of the Genesis is being done exclusively on its own separate lines of manufacturing, and is handcrafted, or more like hand painted, to meet up to the standards of these cars. And I've watched some other reviews of other YouTubers and also articles online. People kept saying that, you know, you gotta see this one in person. Honestly, it didn't really stand out on the video myself, so I couldn't really tell what this two-tone feels like in person. And given that it's not the direct sunlight, but rather just the one of the LED lightings, and it's take that fact into consideration. So it's just sitting at a showroom like this, but this two-tone, when you see it in person, it's very distinctive, but yet subtle. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but that's what I am getting right now. So divide the car into two parts, one being lower and one being the upper part. So the bottom part is Vic Black, and this grayish color is called Carbon Metallic. And well, they both are metallic to me. They don't really seem to be any type of a matte finish or anything like that, but that's what they are. And looking at it really up close, I can see a lot of sparkles on the car. Unlike my Hyundai, I could see sparkles here and there, you know, from a point to another, but this car is mostly just filled up with sparkles. And of course, it's not a wrap, it's a paint. And one thing noticeable on the back, this all-wheel drive badge or emblem they threw on for the first time on G90. Beware, it is not a four-wheel drive, but rather that stands for, that's an A with all-wheel drive. Although it really looks like number 4. I'm pretty sure Genesis has done that on purpose. And no major change for the trunk compartments, but opening it up, it's as big and humongous as it always has been, and no other differences from the standard models. Unlike the subtle exterior design, the interior has been dramatically changed, and immediately we can see this quilted patterns of X, which resonates with the name Stardust. And I'll be showing you throughout, but there are a lot of Stardusts written here and there. As we can see over here, the kick plates, it's got the Stardust written on it. And jumping inside, this is the cockpit of the car. Let me give you the wide angle. And let's go search for that Stardust written on this car. For starters, as I've shown on the kick plate, it says Stardust right here. And here, instead of Stardust, it says Lexicon Premium Sound. And this is another Stardust that I can find, as well as for the rear, there is Stardust, and also on the armrest is Stardust. This 2021 Genesis G90 Stardust, you gotta see this one in person. Although it's going to be a bit unlikely because this is limited in quantity as of 50 and is solely for Korean and Korean market only. Given this footstep of Genesis, it is very likely that this will also hit the soil of United States, because most likely this is going to be the testing bed for Korean customers. And should there be a high demand of the car, sure, why not? They will definitely aim for American market as well as the world. And hopefully the GoPro did a good job on catching the color and two-tone of this G90 Stardust. Right here is the boundary. But again, it's immaculate. You gotta see this one in person. I really personally hope to see this car under the daylight. Should I ever bombard into these cars on the streets, I will definitely get them on camera and show you what it's like. I personally believe that this car would look much better on the streets other than just the showrooms under the LED lights. Some criticize that this two-tone is very subtle. It does not stand out. It does not deliver the price tag that it has. But I personally think that it meets up to the demands of the actual owners and buyers that look into the car. The exterior-wise, you want to stand out, but not to a point where your car is covered in bling bling, Swarovskis and stuff, so people are, you know, looking at you, making judgments about you. But such a subtle color like this with a two-tone, it's very subtle, but it stands out from the general public and certainly from other G90s. But if you go inside, the interior is very different and is exclusive, along with the quilts that I talked about and the two-tone interior overall, as well as the infotainment system. This very refined and touch of the Genesis G90 is definitely a mind-blowing car. and meets up to the demand. And quote, this is straight from the chief designer of Genesis brand, Mr. Sangyup. And G90 Stardust has implemented all Genesis design and know-how as a token of appreciation and honor towards the leaders of the time. So that's what this Genesis G90 Stardust is about. Lastly, the price tag on this one is 133 million won, or approximately $11,000 in US price tags. And it sits a little right below the G90 Limousine, which is tagged at $13,000 US dollars. Alright, hope to capture this one on the public street, and I will see you on the next video.